kids in my Dixie class were all like, I'm not going to be a teenager anymore. I'm like, what? Is that a thing? Like,
Does that matter anymore?
Really? Okay.
All right, so I have you to the bookshelf to over here. So you have all the space in the room. Yep, go have fun.
Yeah,
Right, I'm gonna go actually get ready for my singing stuff tonight because I'm just having. I've lost my water again.
Okay, that's your camera right there. So you probably want to be like angling towards that, right?
Yes. Is it right there?
No, it's playing your phone. Who knows? All right, have fun.
All right.
Yell at me if you need me.
But can you see his a lot of his face? Maybe you want to like move the microphone out of the way and be like
Right there.
playing from that corner.
Do that.
Yeah. Okay. Do your face. I mean, you don't have to stay back there. I'm just saying. Okay.
We get this that line. He sends the snow in winter, the warmth to swell the grain, the breezes and the sunshine, the soft refreshing rain. All good gifts around us are sent from heaven above. Then thank the Lord, oh thank the Lord for all his love. I really want to thank you, Lord. That is cut number 1.
Okay.
Cut number 2.
This needs to be marked the no first ending thing.
Oh yeah. Oh,
This pen is
wait first.
not fantastic.
What would I do with that, Jen? Really and truly.
I'm tripping over this freaking thing. This is crazy.
No, it honestly is a weird like thing to get used to. Let's see. You start right here, let's measure, and just go to the end. Summer evenings, hot fire sky. I was like, yeah, that's the words.
What song is this?
Sweet summer evenings, sapphire skies, feasting your belly, feasting your eyes. Simple joys have a simple voice that says time is living's prize. And would you rather be a left-handed flea or a crab on a slab at the bottom of the sea? A newt on the root of the banyan tree, or a twig on a thinking alley, and a man who never learns how to be free. Not till the day, not till the day, not till the day, not till the day he dies.
Okay.
Number 2. That was 2. Yes. What is back here?
Yeah, there's tabs. Here's the pencil too.
Thank you. This one. Actually, I may have taken this one out. It lives in this compilation though, because I know she held it. How is everyone's day?
Oh. Yeah. I mean, you know, getting up early so you can go and drive across the freaking world
You did.
to do to do a 2.5 hour long Messiah rehearsal.
Oh, we just
I'm like, good night.
us
night.
tried.
And there's all these times, all these long waits in between arias, and I'm gonna have to look, you know, alert and stuff.
Interested. Yeah.
I mean, at least during rehearsal I could go and look at my computer or look at my phone or something. But during the performance, I'm gonna have to just stand there and look shiny.
It's you and Earl and Jen.
Me, Earl, Jen, Nagy, and Ken Gutenberger.
Oh yeah. Excellent. Oh.
Yeah. And I've decided I'm gonna wear gold sequins
Yes.
because it's holiday time,
Right.
even though it's a daytime performance.
Doesn't matter.
I don't wear it.
It's a hey.
She's wearing
hey.
red. She's wearing red. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go full gold.
It's holidays. We can do that.
I'm
And
gonna go full Oscar.
Yeah, you should.
statue.
OCU
gold.
tried to kill the upper choirs this year because we usually do one masterwork at the Philharmonic a semester, and
Right.
then our Christmas Vespers concert. That takes up our first semester.
Okay.
This year, the deans had a word with them after this because we were literally just like mentally destroyed. We did in October, from beginning of the semester in August to mid-October, we performed Beethoven's Nine as the season opener.
How many people were in that choir?
100?
Okay.
Yeah. 150.
That's the minimum. Okay.
Yeah, 150. There's 100, and then we literally mid-November for the 100th anniversary of World War I, we did Britain's War Requiem. Which,
What?
Exactly. With the Philharmonic. And yeah,
What?
yeah. I've never.
And then you weren't done. You're about to
No,
say
we-
and.
and we still have Christmas
the
concert.
problem is that that was the middle part of the story. That's the problem. That should have been the only part of the
That
story.
should no. It could have been. I was like, if that was the only thing we did in a semester,
That
I
should
would.
have been the only
Only-
thing.
I've never seen 200 of some of the world's finest young musicians go into a room and collectively have a depressive episode before, because reading that music is like, it looks like a dead language. I'm like, is this music? Is this music? I'm convinced it's not music. And
Please tell me the Christmas was like easier.
oh, they made Vespers far
A
easier
lot.
than it usually is, but we still had to do it.
Yeah, you should have been done.
No, yeah,
Do that in the spring. And
exactly.
there's nothing else.
That's nuts.
You don't do that and then follow it up with Christmas anything. It's ridiculous.
It was just.
And Beethoven in the same semester?
Yeah.
What the hell?
And like Beethoven's not, I wasn't mad at it. Like the tessitura just sits high, but like it's not impossible. But it still was just Beethoven. But the thing, it was just a matter of, okay, you had us do. If it was like two Beethovens and Vespers, I wouldn't have been that mad. But it was Britain's War Requiem. Like
That's ridiculous.
no one, professionals don't do it because that's too hard for
That's
them.
ridiculous.
Um,
There's no way
there was
a
only-
choir, a symphony, or a symphony chorus would be booked to do those two things in one.
In that very short time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
That's
know.
stupid.
It would be like fall and spring. It would not be. Wow, that's ridiculous.
And for some reason, it sounded as good as the Britain War Requiem can sound, because sometimes I'm like, I feel like it's supposed to sound like this, but like, LOL. Here we go. Oh,
Wow.
and this-
Well,
yeah, this
congratulations for surviving.
just- thank you so much. We did it. We're just starting.
Ridiculous.
As I
sorry.
laughed.
Yeah. Hello, I didn't point. I'm sorry. Just like a flustered. And I said to myself, sit down, and then it just goes to the end.
Got it.
And I said to myself, sit down, you're rocking the boat. I said to myself, sit down, you're rocking the boat. And the devil will drag you under with a soul so heavy you'll never float. Sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down, you're rocking, sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down, you're rocking, sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down. And those are the
My favorite is the way you start this vocally is my favorite, because you're like right on resonance right away. Something about this little sit down section it didn't seem. I don't know if that's. Can you just do that again? Just do the whole that third one again.
And I said to myself, sit down, you're rocking the boat. I said to myself, sit down, you're rocking the boat. And the devil will drag you under with a soul so heavy you'll never float. Sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down, you're rocking, sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down, you're rocking, sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down.
Right. Where does it start? Yeah, you're doing great at just cutting right away. I felt like the other two pieces you kind of start in your nose a little too much, And this one is right there where it needs to be. Yeah, I like all this. How do you feel today, locally?
It's a little funky because of the weather change,
Yeah, okay.
and like it's just so dry.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. Do you have it? Can we do this? Sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down. You're on the road. That one, just right there. Just right there.
Sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down. You're rocking the boat.
Okay, so talk to me about that. Talk about the B flat.
I'm comfortable with B flats. That one just kind of freaks me out mainly because it just goes and it's a blip and it goes
Yeah.
away. And so I don't. It's not like the big sustain stuff I usually do
Yeah.
with that. So
Yeah.
that's why I think I'm just mentally like, okay, it's coming and it goes away. Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like it's a little. Yeah, so you need to focus on the note before.
Mm-hmm.
Sit. So make it a little longer than it should be. Sit down. So you're gonna
Yeah.
from below. Sit. Do you know where your D is? Is the D up or down?
The.
Of down. Sit down. Sit down.
Okay.
Do you know where it is?
I never thought of it.
Okay, well let's decide right now.
Yeah.
So, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit. You're gonna hold the sit long. So sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down. Put the D down,
Mm-hmm.
which is probably what you're doing, but you're gonna put the D down and then you're gonna go ah on the
Yeah.
top. So we're just gonna make this sit too long
'Kay.
for right now. Go ahead.
Sit.
Sit down, sit down, sit down.
Sit down, sit down, sit down. LOL. I'm not. Yeah.
Oh my God, are people doing that now? You say LOL instead of laughing? Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Could we
Some
just
number
yeah,
four?
Yeah, just a little four. Actually,
Yeah.
just a little
Sure. Yeah.
With a soul.
Yeah. With the soul so heavy you'll never float. Sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down. You're rocking. Oh.
Yeah, so instead of focusing on the down,
Yeah.
sit down.
Sit down.
So, okay, it's down.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, has he been singing that note, wrong note the whole time? Sit. Do that. Sit down.
Sit down. You're rocking the boat.
Sit down, sit down, sit down. Oh, it's sit down, you're rocking the boat. Do that.
Sit down, you're rocking the boat.
Okay, so now the sit is too thrown away. This is
Yeah.
why the top is feel good.
Yeah.
Right? Sit. So sing the sit long for me. Sit down.
Sit down.
Okay. It's still.
Yeah.
Sing the sit just by itself. Sit.
Sit.
Okay, do that again.
Sit.
Where is that?
I feel like it's in the middle of like the hard palate right now.
Right in the middle. Can you move it like above your top teeth, so in the pocket? Sit.
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 Okay, sit. What's the interval again? Sit. Ah. So you're gonna go wide in the front.
Mm.
Sit down, sit down.
Sit down, sit down.
Yeah, you don't trust the breath. You're using this. Sit.
Sit down.
Yeah, let's do sit down.
Sit down.
We need that
Okay.
amount of wideness
Mhm.
and vibrating,
Mhm.
actually.
Sit down.
Yeah, because your voice doesn't like to go straight, really,
Yeah,
right?
that doesn't.
It doesn't. So up there, I mean, don't
No, don't
do that.
Sit down.
Sit down.
Sit down.
Yeah, I still feel like.
Yeah.
So what's happening here now? Don't go crazy. Just do whatever you were doing.
Sit
Oh
down.
yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a little too much compression
Mhm.
at this point. I mean, in the wrong place.
Mhm.
So what you want to do is just leave it out. Sit down.
Sit down.
I don't want you to put. You're pushing your whole head forward. Sit down.
Sit down.
Sit
Sit down.
down. Sit down.
Sit down.
It's better. A little bit better.
Yeah.
Can you move your head?
Sit down.
pushing your head way forward.
Mhm.
All right. We need to do sit down, sit down. Just do it on the bottom pitch again.
Sit down.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what is all that? So that
Yeah.
is gonna stop the whole rest of it from happening.
Mhm.
Sit down.
Sit down.
Yeah, that's too much weight, too much. You're coming from speech somewhere. That grunt is gonna prevent
Yeah.
you. Sit down. So that's a moment where you kind of can't give over to whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to be strategic there. And it's gonna go by so fast, no one's gonna even know.
Mhm.
It's not, you know what I mean? There's nothing expressively juice-wise you get out of doing that. Sit down. Do that.
Sit down. Sit down. Sit down.
Yes. So that same amount of vibrancy has to go up.
Alright.
So you're gonna go sit down.
Mhm.
Bend it up slowly.
Sit.
No. If the sit is tight, it's not
Yeah.
gonna work. Sit. It's just a basic
Mhm.
resonant
Sit.
forward. Sit.
Sit.
Sit down.
Sit down.
Yeah, that feels better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt better. Yeah.
I have to look at your mouth now. Go do that again. Are you okay?
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
good.
I don't
Yeah,
want to wear you out.
No, we're all good.
We're just like hammering.
Sit. Sit down.
Okay. You're still.
Yeah.
Do you feel that?
Yeah.
Grunt?
Yeah. Sit down.
It's simpler than that.
Sit down.
Don't make a big
Sit
fuss out.
down. Sit down.
Sit. It's the
Sit.
sit. It has to be long.
Sit down.
Yes, I feel like it's a little bit yelly. It's not vibrating,
Mhm.
and I know normally you wouldn't think to vibrate there, but you need to because of how high it is.
Mhm.
And this is more golden agey, right?
Yeah.
So it calls for it. Go back again. Let's get your legs back down. Go back to you start. He starts here. The whole thing. Just start the whole thing over.
Mhm.
And that's it.
And I said to myself, sit down, you're rocking the boat. I said to myself, sit down, you're rocking the boat. And the devil will drag you under with the soul so heavy you'll never float. Sit down, you're rocking the boat.
He says that. It's
Oh.
totally different than that.
Oh yeah, I've gone over with how it was written, and I've compared it with the other versions of it, and I just thought this one was a little weird. How it was originally put in the
Oh, okay.
score.
So you're just not doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
All right. Well, I'm not gonna complicate life then. Sit down. So basically, he's not going up till here.
Right.
Ah,
And just doing that whole phrase coming down. So
yeah.
it's not even a break.
Well, that makes it life easier, doesn't it? Okay. Well, so then you don't have to do any of that stuff we just did then. I mean, really, now that you've gone that
But yeah.
far, don't let the top be shouty like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It needs to vibrate a little bit.
That's it needs.
You're doing a great job at the end,
Mhm.
of bringing your vibrancy in like you do. Okay, so another thing I have to say about this one is, I feel like you need a different body language for this
Than
one
the other
than
two,
the other
yeah.
ones.
Mhm.
And this character, I don't think is on tippy toes.
Yeah.
This character is a flat-footed character.
Mhm.
So, and I said to myself, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Hey, yeah, go into your
Yeah.
stance. Let me see it. Angle yourself towards the camera. Are you you're almost on your heels, almost. Release your knees though. So you're almost like, hey, I said to myself, sit down. You're rocking the boat. We're on the
Yeah.
boat, right?
Mhm.
So you can do that.
Have a little bit more
Yeah, you can be a little bit more like here, like
dug into it. Yeah.
absolutely.
And I said to myself, sit down, you're rocking the boat. I said to myself, sit down, you're rocking the boat.
Okay, and the movements, none of these movements, especially for this one and the one before, are soft movements. You're
Yeah.
kind of like Fosse in slow motion, and it needs to be like decisive action and then stop. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Said to myself, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Instead of,
These.
oh, you wonder, oh, no. Drop.
Mhm.
Hey, here, okay?
Got it.
So whatever you're inclined to do it quick, drop it.
Got it.
Try that.
And I said to myself, sit down, you're rocking the boat. I said to myself, sit down, you're rocking the boat. And the devil will drag you under with a soul so heavy you'll never float. Sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down, you're rocking, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down, you're rocking, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down.
Yeah, the ending was fabulous. This middle part, I need a decision on whether or not it either needs a little bit more darkness to it, like a little bit more weight, or if you're trying to make a whisper, like a stage whisper, then you need to go further with that.
Further with it, okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're doing.
It's kind of living in between both right now because I'm not sure either. So
Okay,
yeah.
okay, so you have to decide. Let's try it both ways.
Yeah.
Can you give me, just do it louder then maybe? And sit down, you rock it, sit down, you know, just give it a little more bass.
Mhm.
And then we can try the other where we're like, sit down, you rock it, sit down. You know, where you really go.
I think
crazy
I
far.
like the stage whisper. It's just that I didn't know how to make it come across properly. Cause
Okay.
yeah.
So because you're like non-committal, you have to come off the voice a little bit for a stage whisper, but your consonants have to be just over the top crazy, and you have to decide where you're gonna hit those accents.
Yeah.
So it's sit down, you rock it, sit down, you rock it, sit down. It's all the accents that are here in the piano part.
Mhm.
So sit down, you rock it, sit down, you rock it, sit down, you rock it, sit down, sit down, sit down, you rock it, sit down, sit down. It's the come look at it. See where the accents are?
Yeah.
Sit down, you're like, sit down.
Yeah. Sit down. Just the sits.
That's the other.
Yeah, it's these sit. Not one.
Sit down, you're like, sit down, you're like, sit down, rock it. Sit down, you're like, sit down, sit down. Oh, sit down, you're like, sit down. Can you play it? Sit down, you're like, sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking the. Sit down, you're rocking the boat.
What?
Sit down, you're rocking. Sit down, you're rocking the boat.
Well, yeah,
Sit down,
that's
you're
a
rocking.
rockin', you're right.
Sit down, you're rocking the boat.
Well, I wanted to work this middle section just because I wanted to get your opinion on it. But in the actual like initial callback that I did for it, we just cut it because it wasn't coming together.
Mhm.
And so I was just wondering, like, because I was like, maybe should we just cut it? That was my, because I cut it for the initial audition I had, and it didn't really affect anything. But because it's not really, because this is only the chorus singing this in the show, in the show context, so it really doesn't.
So you sang this one and went straight to here?
Yeah, I just sang the sit down and rock and roll, and then just went straight to the end.
Oh.
'Cause it just-
Oh, might make it stronger.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if we worked on it, if it would fix anything, but really it's just a flaw with the way it was written, I think, because it was supposed to be chorus in the show, because he's not actually singing it.
I see. So they've made it into a.
A little ditty for him there.
Yeah. So were you doing both of these or just one?
We were doing both of them.
So the first one really should have more presence then. I thought. Well, no, you did do it loud, and then you got quieter here. So maybe you're saying maybe we should just cut it. It's weird. It's the weakest part of the whole thing.
Yeah, I know. I completely agree.
So it needs to be either just needs
needs
some precision,
yeah.
rhythmic work. You have to really be percussive and be right on the beat. Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. You've got to make something out of it, or cut it.
Yeah.
So I mean, do you want to try it again or?
I'm open to totally trying it again. I need some advice on like the decision about.
About what to do.
Yeah, what to do.
Yeah, why don't you just start right there on that?
Yep.
Sit down, you're rocking, sit down. The first one, the loud one.
Sit down, you're rocking, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down, you're rocking, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down.
You can stop. We don't need to wear you out. So don't ever say sit down. Just say sit down, sit down,
Yeah.
sit down. Okay. Sit down. You're rocking. Sit down. You're rocking. So let's do it a little in slow motion. Do it again. The loud one.
Sit down, you're rocking, sit down, you're rocking. Sit down, you're rocking, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down, you're rocking, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down.
Okay.
And you're
So-
rushing that.
That's
Yeah.
this.
That'd be one of sit
Yeah.
down, yeah.
Okay, boat, sit down. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the last boat is, these boats are long.
Mm-hmm.
Sit down, do it slow again.
The first one?
Yeah, that's the first one.
Sit down, you're rocking, sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down, you're rocking, sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down.
Okay. Sit down, you're rocking the boat. Rocking. So can you give me a sit down, you're rocking, sit down, sit down, sit down. So it's sit down, you're rocking, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down. So sit down, you're rocking the, sit down, you're rocking, sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking. Sit down, you're rocking. So you have a sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so it's 3 sit downs and
Right.
the third one goes
Sit down, you're rocking, sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking the boat.
Mhm.
And chew the R.
Chew the R, okay.
Sit down, you're rocking the boat.
Mhm.
The only time you can really back phrase on this is rocking the last rocking the boat.
Yeah.
Sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down, but then you have to get right on the beat again.
Mhm.
Sit down, you're rocking. Sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down. But you got it from there.
Yep.
You know. So it's the if you can hit those accents, then you can keep it.
Mhm.
Try it.
Okay. Sit down, you're rocking, sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking the
Don't
boat.
rush the unaccented sit down. Sit down, you're rocking. Sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking the boat. It's gotta stay even.
Sit down, you're rocking, sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down, you're rocking, sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down.
Back phrase that.
Yeah.
That you can back phrase.
Yeah.
Sit down. Just back phrase that. You don't have to
Okay,
worry about what
that
it really
makes
is.
that makes a lot more sense in my mind. Because I would like to keep it. It was just a matter of if it didn't come together with the pianist.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. One more time.
Sit down, you're rocking, sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down, you're rocking, sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down.
Okay, this time don't help him. And see if you can give me a more accent on the rocking the boat.
Yep.
So again, so that's going to encourage you to back phrase the rest of that measure.
Mhm.
You can really belabor the R. Sit down, sit down, sit down. So sit down, you're rocking. Sit down, sit down, sit down. You're rocking the boat.
Got it.
Sit. Which means the second boat, the first boat is going to be a little shorter because you have taken the time from the beginning of the measure,
Mhm.
right? But then the next time, you don't have to be in a hurry because you're going to back phrase your sit down.
Mhm.
If that makes sense,
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Okay, do it.
Sit down, you're rocking, sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down, you're rocking, sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You can do that.
Yes.
You can do that.
Jen's amazing, as always.
Yeah, you can totally do that. Okay. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, for Pippin,
Mhm.
you, yeah, so I'm gonna deal with how it starts. I feel like it starts in your nose.
Mhm.
And I would like it to start just as lovely as the Guys and Dolls does. Yeah, and it's the same pitch. So it's a swing. You're going to swing. I feel like you're just down
That
here.
just is the best part of that. It's the same one.
Sweet. So what's the vowel on that word?
E. On
On this one, what's the first word in this?
and.
And that's a sweet spot. Sweet summer evenings. Can you open it up like you?
Sweet, sweet summer evenings, sapphire sky, feasting your belly, feasting your
It just
eyes.
gives us that little extra bit of overtones from
Yeah.
your voice. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a small thing, and
But
it's
it
mostly
makes a
because I know
difference.
what you're supposed to sound like. You know what I mean? I mean, if someone who doesn't know what you're supposed to sound like, then they're not gonna think twice of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just feel like there's a little sparkle there.
No, I agree.
Sweet. But how's that feel different to you? Tell me.
It feels less. It feels like I do need to do less work for the sound.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
convenient.
more efficient singing. Yeah.
Ooh, that's
Again,
new
like, simplify,
information.
right? Simplify it
Yeah.
because you have the voice already. You don't have to do anything to it. You don't have to. You don't have to do anything to
What
it.
did Autumn quoted something from the American Voices concert? I almost like hit the floor because Nicole's the only person I know that ever.
That is
quotes
that. I have a whole lesson series that my students do where they watch that, and we talk about quotes and we talk about each of the sections because it's the Renee Fleming one.
Yes.
And I make them do every single one, and we talk about what it is, and we talk about what quotes they heard and what they. So every student gets it eventually.
Eric Owens about like don't put
Yeah.
a Mercedes on top of a
Favorite quote.
Thank you.
Right, I was
You
like-
don't put that. I love that.
It's my favorite quote.
Don't put a Mercedes on top. You don't need to do it.
No,
You
so I'm
need
like,
to-
and she
Right.
put it, and I was like, Nicole. Oh,
That's literally
right.
what I
That's like,
say.
we like to say in our house, like, just because, you know, you have a Lamborghini, right? Lamborghinis are not like other cars, right? You might know how to drive a Nissan Sentra, but you can't get in a Lamborghini and
Right,
drive
that.
the way you would drive a Nissan Sentra, okay? You need, so,
let's do it again now.
okay. So, so, yeah, just start that again.
Sweet summer evening, sapphire sky, feasting your belly, feasting your eyes. Simple joys have simple voices. This time is living's prize. And wouldn't you rather be a left-handed flea, or a crab on the slab at the bottom of the sea, or a newt on the root of a banyan tree, or a twig on a fig in Galilee? Than a man who never learns how to be free. Not till the day, not till the day, not till the day, not till the day he dies.
Right, so you're the master of the ending. You're the master of the ending. We don't ever have to worry about that, right? So now we have to, it's this lead up. Now to the day, now to the day. Somehow, I feel like the he's are in the way, which means something is wrong. Now to the day, he. But before I get into all that,
Yeah.
so have you watched Ben Vereen yet?
Mhm.
Okay, so I feel like, again, this is a little too snake charmery, and you need to own some space.
Okay.
You need to take up, rather than a whole lot of movement, but even then, like, you just need to walk. Like, I